State of the Nation Wednesday. In fact, we're calling it a report card check, and I'm going to be asking my guests, Dr. PLO Lumumba and Barrack with the 2 R's, Muluka, the man from Emanuelia, later on, to give us a report card check, A to F, of where we are as a nation today. But first, tweets coming in, coming in so thick, so creamy, and I don't mean DJ Cream, but somebody just actually asked the panel, is there a condom that costs 25,000 shillings? That must have been Cream de la Cream.
We can ask these
young people here. Okay.
We might.
Dr. David Matsanga has weighed in on the debate. He's probably watching, waiting to hear me read this. I don't know what English he's using, but I will try, gentlemen. He says, anybody who has read the Roman Empire history understands the pain and anguish of Emperor Caesar. And then he says, the traitors are near, and I, a worried man, as a Pan-African friends.
Well, he's saying he's also worried because I believe he must be one of the people who are close. We have seen his forays.
But, okay, is that English?
ICC, you know, we have to wrestle with lots of registers of the English.
Especially people who talk about procuring and stuff like that.
He was procured himself.
Right. But gentlemen, on a very serious note, if the newspaper can put out a headline like this, and then someone like this does not resign from office or step aside for investigations, PLO, what should happen?
It would be tragic. You know, I remember when I think about Kenya, we were in a similar situation in 1989, and everybody weighed in. I remember in those days, Maurice Cardinal Otunga from the spiritual circle. I remember Henry Okulu. I remember Alexander Kipsang Muge. I remember Father Ndikaru wa Teresia. I remember Ndingi Mwana Anzeki. I want to hear now the voice of John Cardinal Njue. I want to hear now the voice of Dr. Eliud Wabukala. I want to hear the imams and the ulamas. I want to hear the voice of the moderator of the Presbyterian Church and the presiding bishop of the Methodists to tell people that we are in a major moral deficit, and that men and women who have not served this country, who have been given the opportunity to serve and have fallen short of the expectation of this country despite their protestations, must now move. If somebody says, if a tree says I'm a mango and what we see are thorns, we must refuse to accept that they are mangoes.
Completely.
And that is why we are telling Anne Waiguru and others in government, we hear you, we sympathize with you, but you are not Kenya. It is us who are Kenyans, and we are asking you to leave. Because if they don't leave, this country that you think is docile will wake up one day, as they did in Burkina Faso.
Yes, in the wrong way.
They'll wake up one day, as they did in former Yugoslavia, as they did in Romania. And one day this country will fall apart and we'll never put it together again. It can happen. I pray to God that it does not happen.
At the same time, Barrack, the foreign press is having a field day with these numbers over here. They're having a field day with the condoms.
The BBC has just reported about Anne Waiguru and is mentioning all these things. And when we travel now, we are called the people from the land of thieves. That is the identity that we have, not because of ourselves, but because of the men and women that we have entrusted. We must, all of us Kenyans that are watching today, this is the time that you must refuse to keep quiet. And you must now speak the truth without fear of consequence. Because this country is ours and is our children and children's children, and we must not allow a few individuals to think that they have a title deed to this country.
Barrack.
Yes. Particularly refusing to be docketed into ethnic enclaves, because ethnicity is also a weapon. That what these people who are in leadership, who are stealing, are doing is to tell you, look, it's our government which is being accosted. These people want to take away our government. They want to take away our power. And that's why you can see a governor standing before a crowd and telling them, when you say that there's theft, which even the president himself has acknowledged that he does live very safely and well in his office, that when you talk about it, you are told that you are abusing the president. And you are told because you are not circumcised, you cannot think properly. And that if you keep on talking about these things, that he will come right up to your mother's doorstep to sort you out. We must refuse. We must refuse to be diverted. Whether you belong to the lot that has been called circumcised or uncircumcised, it doesn't matter. This is not about the circumcised and the uncircumcised. It's about Kenya. It's about people being misled so that they can be used as weapons to be the bulwark around the thieving. So that is one thing that we must refuse. When the economy collapses, you feel it on your body, whether you are Kikuyu, you are Luo, you are Kalenjin, you are whatever, it is you. The tax brackets which have been expanded, they are cutting across the board. They do not select and say that we have now gotten into Nandi terrain and therefore we shall not apply, that we have now gotten into Luya terrain and therefore we shall not apply. Kenyans must know that this is a national disaster. If Aden Duale, who is given to a lot of verbal incontinence, has ever said anything useful, it is this time that he has said this is a national disaster, and it cuts right across the board indiscriminately. It will not spare you because you are from Gatundu South and somebody from Gatundu South has told you that this one is ours. It doesn't work that way.
PLO, speaking of Gatundu South, we have less than 2 years to go to the next election. The hate that's being spewed on social media, and you're lucky you're not on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, or because the hate is at a completely new level, from Kabogo to Muthama to Huria to Aladwa. What does this say about our state of the nation right now?
You know, Jeff, I'm very worried. 2 years in advance of the election, we are already on a war footing. We are already on a campaign mode, and I fear that the elections in 2017 may be more violent than they were in the year 2007. And one can already begin to see the signs, and we must immunize ourselves. The first thing that I would want to happen is that the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the Senate, and the leaders of both houses should call a special session of Parliament to discuss the state of the nation, at which this hate is discussed, at which the economy is discussed. And I pray and hope that these individuals who are spewing venom in Kenya, that the judiciary should do what they must do. That these individuals are jailed without option of fine, that they may know that they cannot threaten this country. It is only then, when they are jailed and their liberty is taken away, that they'll know that in the 21st century, you cannot insult people. In the 21st century, and many of them are Christians, which says they are neither Jews nor Gentiles.
They even say these things in church.
They say it in church.
And one must ask himself or herself, who is this holy priest who is allowing his altar, who is allowing the Holy of the Holies, that space there that is sacrosanct, to be the platform from which this very, very vicious vitriol is being spewed? Who is this priest? We must also interrogate this which we call prayers.
In our letter,
prayers.
We have said that.
Yes.
These prayers which are mockery to God. And I want to posit, as the prophet Isaiah has posited, that there are prayers which God is not going to listen to. If you are going there to pray, and what you are doing is inciting people, if you are going to pray, and we are not seeing any repentance on your part, we are just seeing you preparing people for the second coming of 2008, God is not going to listen to that kind of
and
prayer.
PLO, that started in Rwanda. Remember, 21 years ago. It all started, it was the churches, it was the priests, it was the governors, it was the leaders of the regions.
And they were calling people cockroaches. And remember, it's 2007 and it's 2017. And it's starting. The Giriama have been told will cut your necks, as I said earlier. The Merus have told the Boranas, be prepared. The Kalenjins in the borders are telling the Luos, be prepared. Everybody is preparing the war drums. And this is where I would want again, remember, and we must address to Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You have the armed forces of this country on your side. You have the police forces, police service on your side. You have the people of Kenya on your side. They just don't speak We don't give them the oxygen of publicity. They are with you. If you take charge, this country will be saved. The Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, no Chief Justice in the history of independent Africa has ever said what Willy Munyoki Mutunga said, that this country is on the brink. No Chief Justice. The Chief Justice, who is the custodian of law, has said the 2007 was a cakewalk. 2017 will be worse. Remember, the opposition has said, this time round, we will not go to court. Where will they go? Where will they go?
You know where they're going to go. You know where they're going to go. Gentlemen, before we wind up, I want to read your last paragraph in your letter to the president, which you sent today, right?
Yes, indeed.
Was it received?
Was delivered by courier at 4 p.m.
By Moses Courier? Oh.
Not courier of Gatundu South for G4S.
Okay, Courier.
Yes,
Le
Courrier.
Okay, Le Courrier.
Oui.
The last paragraph says, Your Excellency, this is the time to revisit the oath you swore alone in the presence of God and Kenyans. This is the time to remember the story of Rehoboam. Rehoboam?
Yes.
In the Bible, as recorded in 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 12, quote, heed the counsel of the elders and those who think like them. Make our burden light. Do not chastise us with scorpions of burdensome taxation. End quote.
Signed,
Professor PLO Lumumba, LLD, CPSK, MK, Barrack Muluka with the 2 R's.
Yeah,
Gentlemen.
you know the story of Rehoboam.
No, I don't.
Jeff, you must
are you a
read
believer,
the
Jeff?
Bible sometimes, but
Yeah.
the story of Rehoboam is told because Rehoboam was the son of King Solomon, and after his father had died, he became the king, and for a moment held together the whole of Israel. And the people of Israel came to him and told him, your father was extremely dire with us, and we prayed that you will be a little soft with us, and we will be faithful to you and serve you well. And the long and short of it is that the elders told him that actually do what the people are telling you. But he dismissed the counsel of the elders and listened to the counsel of young people who told him that if your father reigned over them with whips, tell them you're going to reign over them with scorpions. Tell them that your little finger is going to be fatter than what your father's waist was. And so Rehoboam reigned roughshod through the people, and that caused the split of the kingdom. 10 tribes running to one side, and Rehoboam remaining with the 2 tribes
of Judah
on the the other side.
And that seems to be what's happening up on the house on the hill.
And
young people just giving counsel left, right, and center without really thinking.
Cantankerous young people who have respect for no institution. They don't respect the law. They don't respect order. They don't respect anybody else. They are people who say things like, let them take me to court. I have got the money. I will protect myself. Now, once a country gets to a point where a leader can stand before the crowd and tell people, and this person does not even demonstrate any remorse, you would expect that on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, he would wake up and he would hold counsel with himself. He would search his soul, and he would say to himself, his soul would say to him, that you erred, and go back to the people and apologize, because you are a leader. Somebody like Kabogo is potentially my president. And when I see any governor in this country, I'm seeing a potential president. Right. When I see a senator in this country, I'm seeing a potential president. I don't want to believe that he's going to berate me because he thinks certain things about a portion of my anatomy. And what does it have to do with him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to wind up. And PLO, let me start with you. What does the president do now? What does he do now with people like this going forward?
The president should now take charge. The president should remember that he's the president of the Republic of Kenya. There is no co-presidency. You swore your oath alone. History will remember you alone. Do that which is good and right. This economy is suffering. save the economy, put a moratorium on all foreign travels, put a moratorium on all seminars. Let us implement that which we have learned. Put a moratorium on all this noise. Reconstitute your cabinet. Hold a national dialogue. Call the opposition, call the clergy, call everybody. This is the time for Kenya to reason together. This is the time when apparent weakness will be apparent strength. There is no shortage of people to learn from. Learn from Nelson Holisasa Mandela. Learn from Julius Kambarage Nyerere. We will support you. Tomorrow, act. Tomorrow, jettison the individuals who are a burden to your government for the sake of this country. Remember that this country gave you a mandate, and that mandate is to serve the country well and to serve it with dedication for this generation and generations yet to be born. God bless you and God guide you, Mr. President.
Indeed. Barack, that camera,
Yes,
you get the last word.
Mr. President has got no choice but to reconstitute the government. His government, as it sits today, is fatally flawed. If, Mr. President, you expect that anything good is going to come out of this government, you are expecting something greater than a miracle, and it's not going to happen. This is a government that is constituted of people who arrived with only one agenda, and that agenda is to plunder. That agenda is pillage. Anne Waiguru is only the tip of the iceberg. As we wake up tomorrow morning, we want to hear that she has stepped aside. And if she has not stepped aside by end of business tomorrow, we expect you to have acted, Mr. President, and not just acted with regard to Anne Waiguru, but to all these other people. Your government needs a fresh start. It needs a fresh lease of life. And if you do that, you will save this country. Rein in also these people who are mongering war, the peddlers of war, regardless that they are from Jubilee, regardless that they are from CORD. I think this country is bigger than any one of us. And the instruments of action, Mr. President, reside with you. God bless you.
Indeed, indeed, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we must keep talking. And I keep saying we must keep talking. Before we wind up, let me read a couple of tweets. Wilfred Waroinge says, the story of Rehoboam, that guy, him, and Jeroboam, there's another one, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
Jeroboam.
Yes.
Yep. Is so relevant to what is happening. A lot of wisdom. And then Phil, Kumekucha Phil says, good to call out religious leaders for their hypocrisy and loud silence on corruption. What are they going to do when the Pope comes in a couple of weeks?
They're going to be all pious. And the Pope will tell us what we already know, and he'll think he's telling us something new.
Right.
As we did when Barack Obama came.
Yeah,
we have forgotten all about what he said.
Correct.
It's as if he told us something
For the first
new.
time.
Yeah. This is the tragedy. Kenyans must wake up. Remember when this country is destroyed, all these individuals, and the people who messed this country up are not more than 5,000. And all of them will be running, their passports are ready. Remember that they are now asking that their spouses be given diplomatic passports. They'll run away, they'll leave us here, rotting. And when the elections come, we'll vote them on the basis of their ethnicity and their bribes. This time round, we must vote right, because if we vote wrong, mtego wa panyo ingia waliomo na wasiokuwemo.
Hapo hapo. PLO has said it. Mtego wapanya something something something. There. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate. These are serious times.
Thank you.
Tough times call for tough individuals. And the best political tag team on TV is right here, right now, talking about issues that we all have to talk about. Mr. President, I hope you're listening. I hope you do something, because going forward, we don't want it to get any worse than it is right now. Gentlemen, I know you've been here before, and you've gotten t-shirts from me before, but you know, I'm a generous guy.
Yes. And
give them away. If you can, if you don't want to wear it, give it to, you know.
The Lord loves a cheerful giver. We receive.
Blessed are they who give, for they shall receive.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Blessed are the Wamais. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
God bless you.
Tomorrow night is the Inspiration Thursday. We have a great kid on the bench tomorrow, 23-year-old. His real name is Vincent Mwasia. You know him better simply as Chipukizi. He's actually on his way to Dubai tomorrow night to perform one of those comedy entertainment things. He's going places. But he's going to tell us how he grew up in a place called Tala. Do you know where Tala is?
Yes, I know Tala.
You do?
Yes.
I don't know. I didn't
Itala
know.
ne museum no.
Wakwito?
Yeni wakwito.
Whatever.
Nando Aseo.
What do I say? Chipukizi on the show tomorrow night. Make sure you watch it. You're going to be inspired because this kid, he'll tell you how he never spoke English for 8 years, his first 8 years growing up. Incredible. Great story. In the meantime, State of the Nation. Report card check. Keep tweeting at Barrack M, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag report card. Let's keep making noise, folks. Because as I always keep saying, we got to keep talking and talking and talking. Because the minute we stop talking, it's the minute we start fighting. And we do not want to go down that slippery slope. Thanks so much for watching. Good night. Good luck. God bless. God bless.
Asante sana.
Thank you, sir.
Barikiwe.
Baraka.